I want to start by following up on the question from the distinguished delegate of Estonia. When we come with this framework convention, how can we show that we've done something better than what we have? Firstly, it's very clear that what we have doesn't work for all countries. So that is a problem we can address. And secondly, we encourage everyone to consider the possibility of having truly multilateral solutions. If a country needs information to collect tax, it shouldn't be stuck in a system where it has to collect the information from all other countries bilaterally. With the UN Framework Convention, we have a unique opportunity to set up global mechanisms where information from all parties could be collected. In these mechanisms, we could design them so that they reflect the special and differential treatment for developing countries and diverse realities of administrations. But if we had this, the party would be able to go to the mechanism and ask for the information that is relevant to its country and receive the information on the basis of a jointly agreed confidentiality standard. A party might even be able to receive such information automatically. If we do that, we would be starting step by step to set up a multilateral mechanism for automatic information exchange, or, if you like, a global asset registry. Secondly, in Article 9 and 10, we have references to future measures, as has been mentioned, that may be agreed by the state parties from time to time through protocols and other instruments. Here we are missing a reference to decisions to be agreed by the COP. In fact, you will repeatedly have heard civil society highlight how COPs play a key role under all UN conventions as the place where political mandates from the convention are fleshed out and operationalized. We are being told that tax is a special issue of high importance to national sovereignty, and that therefore it would be impossible for the convention to mandate the COP to do work on tax. Honestly, we are a bit surprised to hear this, especially from the countries that are members of the OECD's inclusive framework. The OECD's inclusive framework has, for the last decade, been behaving like a decision-making body on global tax rules, and it adopts very long documents related to international tax cooperation. This was the case for BEPS 1, and most recently, the inclusive framework made the controversial decision that the largest economy in the world should be exempt from the corporate minimum tax rules. However, instead of being called COP decisions, the inclusive framework calls its decisions commentaries. And rather than being mandated by a UN convention, the inclusive framework operates with mandates that are very unclear to us, but it appears as if the inclusive framework sometimes gets its mandates from the G20 or even the G7, which are not inclusive and legitimate bodies, and they should not make decisions on global tax matters. The inclusive framework is also an opaque body that doesn't comply with the transparency standards that usually characterize UN COPs. And it remains unclear to us what the rules of procedure of the inclusive framework are. At one point, we were told that it would make decisions on the basis of consensus, but we have since learned that that does not seem to be the case. And lastly, a third of the UN member states are not members of the inclusive framework. So to the countries that are concerned about national sovereignty, why are you not concerned about the OECD's inclusive framework? The truth is that a UN COP would bring a democratic upgrade to international tax governance. This is very important because tax is not only an issue of national sovereignty, but also a core issue of democracy. And mind you, a COP does not impose things on the parties. A COP is the parties. Our focus on the COP is not to say that protocols don't have a role to play. When the work of the COP has progressed so that a new mandate is needed, then protocols provide an opportunity to adopt a new legally binding text. But every protocol brings a risk of fragmentation. And speaking of fragmentation, we don't find that it makes sense to have a UN tax convention that doesn't have the mechanisms to provide the information needed by the parties to exercise the taxing rights decided under the convention. It doesn't seem workable if the UN convention would have to go to the OECD and ask for the information needed to implement its decisions. The UN Convention can build on lessons learned, including on what doesn't work. But we need a UN Convention that includes all the components needed to achieve its objectives. I thank you.